Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for tonight's webinar, and which is part of the 2024 Sharsheret Summit. I am Jessica Jablon. I'm the California Regional Director at Sharsheret. We are so excited to have you join us today for our Sharsheret Summit, Sharsheret in the Kitchen event, Effortless Meals in Minutes with Erin Grunstein, also known as Erin Eats Montreal. The fourth annual Sharsheret Summit is bringing people together, thousands of people, virtually and in person, from all across the country and beyond, from October 9th through November 10th. We hope that you've been enjoying our national webinars on the latest hot topics in breast cancer and ovarian cancer with experts from all over the country. Please know there's still time to attend or host in-person education and awareness raising programs with community partners from around the country. Our final summit webinar is happening on November 6th. Please join us for the Sharsheret Book Club, The Amen Effect with Rabbi Sharon Brous. The link to the book club webinar and to the Sharsheret Summit website are being added to the chat now. The recordings of the summit webinars will soon be on our website, so if you missed a program, make sure to come back and check them out at sharsheret.org. Now, I'd like to take a moment to thank our Sharsheret Summit sponsors, AstraZeneca, Daiichi Sankyo, Merck, Novartis Oncology, Pfizer, City of Hope Orange County, ASI, Northwell Health Cancer Institute, and RMA New York Long Island. We would also like to thank the Cooperative Agreement DP24-0061 from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention for their support of tonight's specific webinar. Additionally, thank you to our many summit program partners that you saw on the opening slides. Their partnership has helped make our summit a success. For those of you who are new to Sharsheret, we help women, men, and families facing breast and ovarian cancer, as well as those who are at elevated genetic risk, through free, confidential, and personalized support and resources. In addition to the virtual services we offer that can be found on our website or by emailing us, you can also access prior webinars on a range of cancer-related topics, as well as access our calendar of upcoming virtual programs through our website. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping items. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be posted on Sharsheret's website along with a transcript. Participants' names and faces will not be in the recording as long as you remain muted. If you would like to remain private, you can turn off your video and rename yourself, or you can call into the webinar. Instructions are in the chat now for both of those options. We now have closed captioning available. To display live captions on the bottom bar, click Captions and then Show Captions. You may have noticed that all participants were muted upon entry. Please keep yourself on mute throughout the call. If you have questions for Erin, put them in the chat box either publicly, or you can click on my name, Jessica Sharsheret, in the chat box to submit a private question, and I will ask them throughout the program. We will also send out a follow-up email from today's webinar with the recording in the next week or so. And we are very excited to bring you another Sharsheret in the Kitchen webinar. These programs bring nutritious, kosher meal options to empower all of us at risk for breast and ovarian cancer to make healthier diet choices. Today's recipes can be found in the chat. We have a library of over 20 Sharsheret in the Kitchen webinars with cooking demos by incredible chefs, and you can access them on our website at the link in the chat. Now, I'd like to share a personal story from Stephanie, who recorded her message for us to share with us today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie. Thank you for having me. From personal experience, I can say that Sharsheret is a wonderful organization that provided me with some peace of mind during a challenging time for myself and my family. In May of last year, my family and I relocated to Jacksonville from Israel. I made Aliyah right after college and spent 15 years living and raising my children in Israel. After a career in the IDF and in government security positions, a job opportunity for my husband brought us to the area. In the midst of getting ready for the big move, I was diagnosed with endometriosis and scheduled for a hysterectomy. My family doctor asked me if I had ever been tested for the BRCA mutations to see if my ovaries should be removed as well. To be honest, I didn't even know what these were. I found out that I'm a BRCA1 mutation carrier. During my last month in Israel, all my reproductive organs were removed, and I was forced into menopause at the age of 39. In that last month, I also hurried to get a mammogram and a breast MRI to be sure that I was cancer-free. Thank God all the tests came back clean. Relocating to Jacksonville, home of the Mayo Clinic, made me feel a little bit better about the move to the US. I grew up in South Florida and I have family in the area. However, I can say that in my 15 years of living in Israel, I truly became Israeli with the chutzpah, hummus, fluent Hebrew, daily struggles, and unwavering hardcore Zionism that comes with it. I wasn't exactly emotionally prepared to leave my Israeli friends, my family, CrossFit gym, or the job that I loved. When we arrived in Jacksonville, I immediately took my health situation into my own hands. I was seen at the breast clinic at Mayo, and they referred me to all the other types of doctors I was supposed to follow up with. I understood pretty quickly that given my family's vast cancer history, coupled with my newly discovered BRCA1 mutation, that I had around an 80% chance of developing breast cancer. I honestly felt like a ticking time bomb. One doctor said something along the lines of, maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but if you were my sister, I would absolutely recommend that you get a mastectomy. The risk is just too high. Something clicked, and I realized that I needed to get the surgery. So in October of last year, I had a double mastectomy with reconstruction. Even though I didn't yet know many people in the community, a friend of mine put together a food train for me. The outpouring of love and generosity was really heartwarming. A lot of the people who brought me a meal or sent a DoorDash card during this difficult recovery are the same people that I've become close with since. My story wouldn't be complete without mentioning that my surgery date was on October 12th, just 5 days after October 7th. We were forced to watch from afar while the worst massacre of the Jewish people took place since the Holocaust. My husband would have been one of the first people to drive to the border and help in any way he could. Having to watch everything since from the US has been one of the most difficult things that we've experienced. I tell you all this because I want you to understand how bad of a place I was in just 5 days after October 7th going into surgery. I remember waking up with a panic attack and just being thankful that I was alive, because I heard so many times about how one's emotional outlook is so connected to how they do in surgery. Needless to say, my recovery was filled with pain, both emotional and physical. I'm very thankful to be on the other side of this procedure, with a lot less to worry about, at least on the subject of breast cancer. One of the most difficult transitions coming from Israel to the US is the differing healthcare system, where in Israel, my hysterectomy cost me 4,000 shekels, around $1,000. My mastectomy here cost $7,000, my entire insurance out of pocket. I initially reached out to Sharsheret to get ideas for financial assistance. Their social workers provided me with various resources. However, given that my surgery was preventative, I didn't qualify. However, my Sharsheret social worker stayed in touch and continued to check in on me. I was shocked when huge boxes of toys and games arrived right before my surgery. I also received a large box of my own with all sorts of post-mastectomy essentials. I am so thankful that I got in touch with Sharsheret, as I felt like I had an organization on my side that understood what I was going through every step of the way. Thank you.
I want to thank Stephanie for sharing her powerful story with us today. If you are interested in learning more about whether genetic testing is right for you, please contact Sharsheret's genetic counselors at genetics@sharsheret.org. And now I'm excited to introduce our main speaker, Erin Grunstein Halpern. Erin lives in Montreal, Canada with her husband and 4 children and is a pediatric physical therapist. As a newly married woman, Erin developed a love of being creative in the kitchen and eventually started sharing recipes on her Instagram page, Erin Eats Montreal. She knows how busy life can be, and her goal is to share easy and healthy-ish recipes for the busy family. While sharing recipes, Erin gained a love of food photography as well, and now she develops recipes with accompanying photographs for different companies. Erin's goal is to bring families and friends together around the table, and she believes that a shared love for food and tradition are the key ingredients to making this happen. We're so excited to welcome Erin, and I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much, Jessica, for that lovely introduction. So some of you follow me on Instagram, some of you don't. One of my favorite things that I honestly almost always have in my fridge, or quite often, is fresh pesto. Like, this was already in my fridge. I love pesto. It's such an easy way to elevate a meal, a dish. So I said that for tonight, we should make some dishes with pesto and make sure that they're super easy and delicious dishes. So we're going to be going, actually, before I say what we're going to be doing, if you have any questions, don't hesitate in the chat box. I may not see the screen, or I won't see the screen because it's going to be pointing at the food. So if you're seeing my toes, let's say, instead of the dish, please let me know, because the dish is, a bit nicer looking than my toes. And also let me know if you have questions, if something's not clear. Do not hesitate. Okay, so now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going back and forth between two dishes because there are different steps. So we're going to be starting with one of my favorite meals to make. We'll pretend that my kids eat it, but really they won't eat it. They won't eat anything with pesto. One day they will, though. This is a one-pot pesto parguillotte and petitim, or Israeli couscous. So I'm gonna shift the camera to the pan. All done. I have already browned my chicken just for time. I couldn't do it all on this Zoom. So here, if you see my pan, I think you do see it. But if you don't see it, let me know.
Now we see your pan. We're good.
Amazing. So I'm just starting off by adding some oil to the pan. I'm using avocado oil. And here I have, whoops, it's a bit too hot. I have some shallots that we just want to brown a little bit and get them soft. So I lowered the temperature a bit. So I'm just going to toss this around a bit, and then we're going to go make some pesto in the meantime while this cooks. So give me like a minute to move things around, break up the shallots. I say shallots, but apparently some people say shallots. I hope that you guys don't mind how I say it. I don't know which is correct. But it's just how I grew up saying it. So this is going to cook for a little bit now and soften. And we're going to shift here. Hold on. Let's see. You see, okay. You see the processor, right? You guys see it?
We do.
Amazing. I'm actually, now that I say that, I'm shifting it over because I'm going to just show you guys how I like to remove the skin from garlic. So here I've got a garlic clove. I'm just gonna take my knife, put it on top of the garlic and push down. And okay, obviously this didn't go as quite as planned, but I have to push down a bit harder because these are really big garlic cloves. And there you go. Let's try that again on another one. Maybe it'll work better. But I do this usually. Hold on, let's try again. There, and the skin comes right off. Obviously, this only works when you don't need the garlic clove to be whole for the recipe. So as I'm making pesto, I want to tell you that, yes, I gave you a recipe, but you don't need to follow it exactly. The truth is, I don't know the last time I followed a pesto recipe. I just sort of throw everything in, and it always turns out delicious. You could make pesto is traditionally made with basil and pine nuts. Pine nuts are a bloody fortune, so you could use other nuts. My preference is pistachios, so that's what I'm going to be using tonight. You could make pesto with arugula or spinach, or maybe even cilantro, although I'm one of those people who does not really like cilantro, so I've never done it. But it's just really so flavorful and so delicious, and I hope you start making it. on your own. So now, do you see my processor? Yes. Okay. So I don't put so many cloves of garlic, but I'm using quite a bit of basil. So, and these are large cloves of garlic. So I decided to put more in, but really you could put in whatever you'd like, more or less. Hold on, you don't see this, but I'm mixing around the onions for a second. Okay, so I'm starting off, there's a piece of skin in there. I'm starting off with the garlic and just the nuts because I don't want there to be clumps of garlic or clumps of nuts in there. So I want to make sure this stuff is processed well before I add in the rest of the stuff. By the way, just because I know I'm going to be asked, this is a mini KitchenAid food processor. I bought it at Costco in Canada. I have no clue if they have it in the States, but it's fantastic and I love it. Sorry, bear with the sound.
We actually don't hear it, which is nice.
Oh, seriously?
No, we
That
didn't hear that
was-
at all. You must have it on the high setting. We were talking about that right before the webinar started, the audio setting.
I don't know what it's on, but I'm very happy that you didn't hear that because that was loud in my ears. Okay, now I'm adding a ton of basil. This is like 2 basil plants. I'm gonna sort of fit in what I could fit in. It's okay if there are stems. Like you don't want the really hard stems, but the ones like this that are soft, they're filled with flavor. So it's totally fine to include them in your pesto. I washed this in advance and it's been drying for a while. So let me get the rest of it in. There.
Would you be able to do this in a blender? Does it need to be?
I think it needs something a little bit stronger. So I like using the food processor. You could be like traditional and use a mortar and pestle, but I'm just doing it in here. This is how I always do it. It's convenient. If you have a very good blender, you could probably use it, but I prefer a food processor personally. It also, some people like a chunkier pesto and some people like a smoother pesto. And with that, the other thing I would say is some people like a more liquidy pesto and some people like a firmer one. So in terms of the amount of olive oil you put in, it differs from person to person. So I'm just going to put in now a little bit of olive oil. I almost forgot the salt and pepper because whenever I'm doing a demo, I forget something or mess something up. So we'll wait to see what it is this time. And actually, my pistachios are salted, so I shouldn't have put that much salt, but that's okay. I wonder if you guys can see me now while the blender is on. Were you guys able to hear me while the blender was on?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's crazy because it's so loud here that I just assumed you couldn't hear me. So now you see what the pesto looks like now.
Yes.
I am adding a little bit more oil. I'm not measuring. I know I gave measurements and they are accurate measurements, but I'm not measuring. And I'm just going to do this, push down the nuts on the side. So to mix everything in nicely.
So Erin, there's a question in the chat. Somebody asks, is there a nut-free alternative? And then somebody else suggested sunflower seeds.
Yes. So sometimes you could use, or you could always use seeds. You could also sometimes, depending on the recipe, skip the nuts. You could use sunflower or pumpkin seeds. They both work. Hold on, I'm gonna make oh no, you guys don't hear the noise. Okay, I can't believe you don't hear this. It is so loud. So here, it looks like this. I could, if I want a thinner pesto, I could add more olive oil. I'm not gonna do that right now though. Any questions on making pesto? Because that's it, we're done the pesto.
There was a question from somebody about the nutritional value of pesto and whether you know what it is. I mean, I think that it's always best to talk to a dietitian about the nutritionist I'm sorry, the nutritious value of items. One of the reasons that we discussed doing 2 recipes containing pesto today in answer to the question in the chat was because we wanted to have a sauce that you could use on multiple different things. And so we thought that that was a really interesting way to make meals a little bit easier.
I'm going to answer that in a second. I just want to show you guys that this has softened. I'm going to add in the mushrooms, let them saute until like the liquid has released. And now I'm going to show you my face. Hi. And I'm going to answer that. So as I'm not a dietitian, I'm not an expert, but I do know olive oil, we know, is very healthy for us. I'm pretty sure it has antioxidants and basil as well. Garlic is also quite good for you. I can't tell you exactly why, but it is. And nuts have protein, so I imagine all of that is good. Now, another thing about pesto that I love, that it is one of the reasons why, the other reasons why I mentioned it, not only can you keep it in the fridge, but it freezes beautifully. So you can make a huge batch. I grow basil in my garden in the summer, and at the end of the summer, I bring it in and I make a huge batch of pesto and I freeze it in ice cube trays. So you could do something like that. You can make a big batch, one night make this chicken dish, and then a few days later, you could freeze the rest of it, and then a few days later say, okay, I'm making salmon tonight. Easy. I've got salmon and pesto, and dinner's done. And I did see a question about how long it lasts in the fridge. I don't think I would leave it in the fridge for more than a week.
Amazing.
Any other questions now that I have a minute?
Yes, there was a question about browning the chicken and how long you did that and what you did to brown it.
Oh, okay. Yes, that is important. And I will preface my answer by saying I would like to try this recipe without browning the chicken. I didn't want to do that tonight because, like, I don't know if it'll work, but it may actually work without. However, when you brown the chicken, you get the caramelized bits here. You can sort of see here. It gets brown and that gets caramelized. So that's an additional pop of flavor, which is why I do like to do it. Now, how do you do it? You heat your pan on like a medium high heat. You add a little bit of oil. You put the chicken pieces in a single layer, not touching. So you have to do this in batches. And it's only when the chicken releases easily from the pan, you know that you could flip it. And then once you flipped it, you know that you could take it off the pan. That's how I do it. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. My pleasure. Okay. Any other questions before we go on to the salmon?
There was a question for people who don't like pesto. What other suggestions of sauces, or do you have other alternatives?
Oh, like pesto. This is like crazy for me. So for this recipe, I actually think, like, if you just add some additional seasonings, I think it would be delicious. Like if you put some onion powder and garlic powder and paprika and garlic, which we're going to put soon. If you put all that stuff, I think it would be delicious. I don't know that it really needs the pesto in the dish, but to me personally, the pesto is like the pièce de résistance that gives it the incredible flavor. Is that sort of answer? You could probably even put a bit of like a tomato-based sauce in there, not too much, just a little bit to get a good punch of flavor.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Any additional questions before we head over to the salmon for a little bit?
Someone is asking, if you're not going to brown the chicken, how would you do it?
Oh, okay. So I would just saute the onions and mushrooms, and then once I'm adding everything back into the pan, including the chicken, that's when I would start the chicken step. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, no problem. So let's turn a little bit. Hold on. There's my kitchen. Sorry. Okay. There. So you've got a view. Oh, this is heating. Sorry. Hold on. I'm trying to get you guys to have a good view. That's better. Okay. So this sheet pan, just before we start, this is called a 3/4 sheet pan. It's bigger than the standard ones you get at stores, and I did buy it on Amazon, and it is amazing because you could just roast more things on one pan. So this is going to be a sheet pan pesto salmon with broccoli and gnocchi. One thing that I love about this recipe is that you don't have to leave it just to broccoli. You could use other vegetables, like you could put mushrooms, you could put zucchini, you could put shallots, you could probably put peppers, except I don't eat peppers. They, for some reason, disagree with me. So I haven't done it with peppers, but you could probably put peppers and a whole slew of other vegetables, even like fennel, if you like fennel, which I love. So I put some oil on the pan. I'm gonna take some broccoli. This is one large head of broccoli, put it on the pan. And one thing that I find, when I learned this, I found it was super cool. I'm just looking for my knife. Oh, it's right here. You could take a package of gnocchi like this, that's not cooked. It's like the dry gnocchi. You don't need to boil it. You could just pour it onto a pan and roast it in the oven, or you could just saute it in a pan, which saves a heck of a lot of time. And it also saves cleaning time. So I'm just breaking up the pieces. I've got my broccoli and my gnocchi on here. I'm actually going to put on some gloves now. And I'm going to season this with some olive oil, salt, and pepper. Now, this recipe I'm actually doing a little bit differently than how it says, just for time's sake for tonight. But you could do exactly what it says, or you could do what I'm doing tonight. So I put some olive oil, some salt that's getting twisted in my cords, some salt, and some freshly ground pepper. I'm going to mix it all up so everything is nicely coated in the oil. And I mean, we love olive oil. It's so good for you, as you know. I think we just discussed it. I just see a gross piece. By the way, thank you, because this is going to be dinner for me for tomorrow night, and my family, well, not my kids, but my husband and I will have this tomorrow night for dinner. So, and the chicken will be for the next night. Hold on, I'm just gonna move the mushrooms around a little bit. I always find it very funny being on Zoom when I'm doing a demo and I'm talking and no one is talking back.
It's got to feel a little bit weird. Well, you're
It's
definitely
a little bit weird. And sometimes like, I almost just stopped talking for a second and I realized, oh wait, people are listening to me. Because I also don't see the screen.
No, of course. And there's actually a lot of chat happenings right now. So somebody was wondering, like, if you can use different kinds of mushrooms.
Yes, absolutely. So I like using brown mushrooms. I mean, I love assorted mushrooms, but just they're easy to get and they're a bit more flavorful than white mushrooms, I find, but really anything goes. Anything, any mushrooms go. And you could use them here and in the other dish. So I just want to show you what I did just now because you guys were watching, but maybe you didn't hear. I seasoned the gnocchi and broccoli, spread it out, and then I put the salmon in the middle. Now, what I'm actually going to do, so I showed you guys I had this pesto in the fridge. I'm going to use that because I made it about a week ago and I don't want to throw it out. So I'm going to use that and not the pesto that we made tonight. I'm just looking for a spoon somewhere. Sorry. So I'm just putting like a nice dollop onto the salmon. I may put a little bit more. And what I'm going to do afterwards, which is something that is important to keep in mind with pesto. For salmon, I put it directly on the salmon, but often pesto is best fresh. So sometimes I will put it on what I'm serving after I cook what I'm serving. So for vegetables, I put pesto on after. For the other dish that we're about to make, I put it on after. So just keep that in mind when you want to cook with pesto, that sometimes after is better than before. I find it just tastes a bit better, but for the salmon, it's fine. Sometimes with this recipe, I will put chopped pistachios on top of the pesto, but I forgot to chop them up before, and you guys don't need to hear me chopping pistachios, so I'm not going to do that now. And so right now what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to add a little bit more oil because I like to see the gnocchi a little bit more coated, just a bit. And then I'm going to pop this into the oven for about 18 to 20 minutes. And we'll go back to the other recipe.
Great. We have a couple of questions that came in.
Yes, hold on. I'm just going to put the timer on my watch so that I don't forget to take it out of the oven. So yes, go ahead.
So one question is, what is the kind of gnocchi that you used?
Let me show you the package. I don't know if you guys could get it in the States. I think this might be a Canadian company. This is Ilios. It's a 500-gram package, but I've used all different ones I've used like the Tuscanini one, which I know you guys could get in the States, that comes in this type of packaging. It works fantastically. Anytime I've used any gnocchi that comes in these like vacuum sealed packages, I've never had an issue. So I hope that answers that question.
And someone wanted to know about if you've used frozen gnocchi before.
I have not. I don't know. I have seen it here, actually. I was going to say, I don't think we could get it here, but we can. I haven't used it. I believe it would work, but I can't say for sure.
Somebody is asking about mushroom substitutes. I know you had said peppers maybe you could use.
So is this for, well, I guess I could talk about both recipes. So for the salmon, just don't use mushrooms, use any other vegetables, but I assume you're asking for the pesto parghiotto. So you could skip the mushrooms completely. You could probably, I think peas would be delicious in this recipe. Is it crazy if we try adding peas now and see what happens? It's not going to be bad. How could it be bad? So you could, I guess we'll see if we could put peas. We could put, what else can we put? We could put, wonder if zucchini would work. Maybe. The truth is, I don't know. I haven't tried. For sure, you could skip it. I haven't tried other vegetables, but I don't see why other vegetables wouldn't work.
And I loved, like you and I talked about it, in preparation for this webinar, but just because the recipe is written a certain way doesn't mean that you have to follow it exactly. And one of the things that I've learned, especially through doing all of these Share It in the Kitchen webinars, is just how flexible you can be. And,
yes.
It's important, like, to experiment if you don't have this and you want to throw in that and see how it turns out.
Yeah, so that I believe that's a learning curve. Some people, I mean, I'm saying now in front of, I'm not sure how many people, okay, let's add peas and see what happens. I've obviously developed a certain amount of confidence in the kitchen. And I completely understand when people don't have that confidence because it's something that's learned. But yes, definitely, it's fun to play around, and sometimes you end up coming up with something that's even better. Yes, I see someone saying asparagus, eggplant, and snap peas. My only concern with eggplant is salting it and like the bitter flavor if you don't salt it with some recipes. But otherwise, everything else for sure sounds great in here.
Amazing. We
okay.
also
I'll just really quick, I just want to jump in and say that I have substituted frozen broccoli straight on the pan with a little bit of olive oil. It actually is a great way because to roast broccoli because it basically steams the broccoli and then it roasts. So it's a nice little hack to cook it a little faster. So I think the frozen gnocchi might work. You just have to assume that it's going to add some moisture to it. So you might want to do less oil or add oil after that evaporates.
That makes sense. I think that makes sense. Although, yeah, I think that makes sense. Okay, I want to show you guys what's been going on in the pan as we're asking these questions. Hold on. Well, do you guys see? Yes, you
Yes.
see the pan. Sorry, it's a bit wobbly. I hope it is it getting steamy for you?
We can see it. We can see through this. There's a little bit of steam, but it's not like blocking our view so much that we
Okay,
can't.
so the mushrooms have been cooking down. As I was talking, I was moving them with the spatula, which, by the way, this is from the dollar store. I just love these silicone spatulas. They're fantastic. So you see the mushrooms have cooked down. The liquid has mostly evaporated. And because I don't want to waste your time with you guys watching me move things, move the spatula around more, we're just going to keep going. So I'm taking my brown chicken. I'm pouring it in. It's not, some spots are more brown than others. Here I have, oh, I forgot. I knew I would forget to do something. I forgot my garlic cloves. Normally I would put them in before the chicken, but whatever. It's okay. It doesn't really matter. It just adds more flavor. Oops. Hold on. Adding it in. Hold on. There we go. I'm just going to mix the garlic around so that it's not stuck in one spot. Mix everything around. And I am going to add in the Israeli couscous, 1 cup of it. As well as I actually put 1.5 cups of this liquid and a little bit more salt. I'm going to mix everything around because I want to make sure the Israeli couscous is in all the liquid. Hold on. And hold on, I have to find the cover for my pan. I didn't take that out. I'm just gonna, hold on, cover it. I don't know why I keep saying hold on. I'm gonna cover it and raise the temperature, let it simmer and cook. So now we have a little bit of time. Oh, I forgot the peas. Should I add the peas? Is that crazy?
There were some people very excited about the peas in the chat.
Okay, let's try this. It better work because that would be really embarrassing if it didn't work. But I'm just pouring a whole bunch of peas in here too. And covering it. Okay. I'm mixing it around. I know you see my face and not the peas, but I think it's okay. Okay. Let's see how this goes. So now we have a little bit of time because we have 11 minutes of the salmon in the oven, and this is going to take a bit of time to cook. So if there are questions, I will gladly answer them, but then I wanted to tell you about more things that I do with pesto. So
Sure.
are there questions?
There
No
were
questions.
some more questions.
Oh, go for it. I'm just going to put my piece back in the freezer. Hang on.
Sure. We have the question, would the first recipe work gluten-free with quinoa or rice instead of couscous? And would that change the amount of water and time?
So I've never tried it with rice or quinoa. However, I would say that you probably need a little bit more liquid, and I doubt the amount of time changes. What was the liquid I added? It was water. Sorry, I'm seeing some of the questions pop up and I will answer them when I see them. Does that answer the quinoa question though? I don't know the exact amounts, but I would put more liquid and just wait for it to absorb and it should be good. And if you're using a glass top pot, then you'll be able to see what's going on inside.
Somebody was also asking about your pan. They said it looks like a perfect pan.
So I got these pans when I got married from my neighbor who has a pan company. Like I did not know what I was doing, what I was getting. It was like, okay, I took a box for me, the box for Jerry. These are KitchenAid, which aren't known to be like such fantastic pans, but It is fantastic. It's really great. Okay, any other questions that I could answer?
There's just some conversation in the chat about some various ingredients. And then there was a question here that I saw that it seems to have disappeared. Hold on one second. It was about like the time for cooking the salmon and the broccoli and the gnocchi. Like, how does that work that everything gets cooked at the same time?
Okay, so that's a very good question. And I should have explained it a little bit more before, because I was saying I'm not following the recipe that you guys got exactly. I used a bigger piece of salmon, so that's going to take a little bit longer to cook. The gnocchi takes about 20 minutes or so to cook, and a bigger piece of salmon also does. The broccoli will be fine either way. Either it'll be a little bit more roasted, a bit less roasted. If you're using slices like in the recipe, that cooks faster. And if it's cooking faster, then you want to put in the broccoli and gnocchi for about 10 minutes or so first, and then you add in the salmon slices. Does that make sense? So you have to know how long what you're cooking takes, and you adjust from there.
Got it. Somebody is asking, instead of water, if you could add chicken broth.
That would be amazing. That would be delicious, more flavorful. There's no reason why you can't do it. The only reason why I put water is because I don't always have chicken broth on hand, but water I have.
And someone asked if this would be good with chicken breast versus thighs.
So I have never tested it out, but on my Instagram, people have tried it and said that it was delicious with boneless breast. I almost decided to try it tonight, but again, I figure we're a lot of people watching me. I'd rather not mess it up in front of, I don't know, 100 people or however many people are here.
Amazing. Well, we are, I know that somebody in the chat was saying how they are, I think she said, unreasonably excited to try this. And I'm just with her. I'm very excited.
This is one of, like, the first time I made it, my husband and I were just gobbling it up because it is so incredibly delicious. And now I'm so excited because this is what we're having Friday night for dinner. So thank you, Charcheret, for making me make dinner so much in advance for 2 nights, not one.
Well, we're glad to help. So I think that's it for the questions for the moment.
Okay, so I'm just checking on the chicken that everything is definitely still absorbing. And now I'm wondering if the peas may have absorbed too much of the liquid. So we'll see. I may have to add more liquid, but we'll see. There's liquid in there now. So I wanted to talk to you guys about pesto, because I spoke to you guys a little bit about it before, but let's talk about pesto. Pesto, I use it obviously for this chicken dish, obviously for the salmon. What else do I use it for? You could roast veggies, put it on top. You could turn it into a salad dressing by adding a little bit more oil to it. I will make the most delicious eggplant. I slice it, I roast it, and just mix it with pesto afterwards, and it's so good. Another thing that I do with pesto is I make like eggplant, like you would make baba ganoush. I also love eggplant, so I have a lot of recipes that are eggplant and pesto and mushroom and pesto because I love mushrooms. So anyways, you make the eggplant like you would make baba ganoush, but instead of putting the baba ganoush stuff, you put pesto on top. How else can we mix pesto with Caesar salad dressing? It sounds like a weird combination, but the flavors just like mesh really well together. So that's another favorite of mine, as well as pasta, of course, pesto pasta and pesto pizza. I know we're talking about healthy stuff, so I don't know if you guys consider that healthy or not, but also really, really delicious. Now, I did see 1 or 2 questions pop up, but I don't know what they were.
Yeah. somebody had asked whether you would use chicken breast with or without the bone.
Boneless chicken breast, 100%.
Someone asked whether you thought rice or quinoa would work better as a substitute.
I think they both would work. I think they both would work. The only hesitation I would say is with quinoa, rinse it before, because otherwise it could have a bitter taste. But I don't see why either of them wouldn't work well.
Someone is asking if you could use a different pasta instead of gnocchi, like a tortellini.
No, so sorry. We're talking different recipe now.
I know they're going back and forth.
That's okay. I just was gonna say no, you have to use the Israeli couscous because it absorbs the liquid. So no, gnocchi is I guess it's the same answer. No, gnocchi is different than pasta in the sense that it is semi-cooked already. I'm not totally sure when it comes in those packages how cooked it is, but it's semi-cooked, and it doesn't need to boil in water. The pasta needs to boil in water. So you can't. However, you could separately cook pasta and then serve it with the salmon and broccoli, but then it defeats the purpose of making your life easier and making a one pan meal.
Someone asked about what you might put the mix of Caesar salad dressing and pesto on.
Okay. Take lettuce, like romaine lettuce. You could have croutons. You could have sun-dried tomatoes and cucumbers. But you could put in olives. I wouldn't put in fruit. Like often fruit is in salads. That's not a salad I would put fruit into. I would put veggies, and you really have so many things. Even corn would be good in there.
Ooh.
Did I cover it with olive oil in the fridge? Sorry, I did see a question. So you should cover it with olive oil in the fridge to keep it nice and green. I never do. It's still delicious. So
yeah, somebody was saying that they made pesto, but it got moldy the next week, so she now only buys and doesn't make it anymore. And then someone had said, well, did you cover it with olive oil? Did you try that?
Now, okay. So this is where I'm seeing some of the messages, but not all of them. Okay. So I never cover olive oil in the fridge. It just may have been a little bit too long. Like if it was a bit over a week that it was in the fridge, maybe that was the problem. But I do have to say I have bought, there's one brand of kosher pesto that you could buy in Montreal, and I've bought it before, and it definitely makes your life easier, but it doesn't compare to the fresh pesto. And make smaller batches, someone just said. Okay, let's see. Oh, I think the peas are really absorbing, but this might be work. Do you guys want to check out what's happening with the chicken for a minute?
Let's see.
So here, I'm not supposed to uncover it, but I'm gonna uncover it for you guys. So you could see that the Israeli couscous is cooking a little bit, but the peas have also gotten big. So, but there's still tons of liquid. So I'm just gonna cover it. I'm gonna cover it. I'm happy to answer more questions because I didn't even show you guys the pesto part of this recipe. If there are more questions, and if not, I could just tell you guys what I do here for the finished product.
There's a couple of questions.
Okay, so let's keep going.
So one was pesto with tofu. Would that work, or a different veggie substitute?
For sure, you could make a sheet pan recipe. You could take tofu, make sure to put like a towel on it and something on top to squeeze out the liquid, I should say. And you could put broccoli and mushrooms. I'm trying to think what other veggies, like you could put a whole slew of veggies on a pan together, put some olive oil, some pesto, salt and pepper, roasted in the oven. And then just add some more pesto and you've got a delicious dinner. Oh, I think, let's check the salmon. I have to take it out. I can't take you guys to check the salmon with me, but let me check it because my watch just beeped.
like a very exciting moment. Let's see what it looks like.
Very excited. Let's see, is the gnocchi ready? Oh, the gnocchi is done. Okay, good. I'm happy this has worked and that we're not just waiting for a little longer for something to be ready. Okay. So this has been in the oven for 18 minutes. Turning off the oven because I'm standing on top of it. It is so hot. I'm done. Okay, do you see? Yes, you see. Just gonna push this down a little bit so you see. So here we have the pesto salmon in the middle. We have the broccoli on the outside. I am going to just take some pesto from here. And I'm going to mix it with the gnocchi and the broccoli. Then you have a delicious dinner. I would actually put a little bit more pesto here, which I could do because I have more pesto, but I just want to show you something first. Do you see how soft this gnocchi is now? It's soft, but then it's also crispy. I'm taking a bite and it's so yummy. It's like, sorry, that was really hot. It's really delicious. I find it actually more delicious than when you make it, when you boil it, because it gets a little bit caramelized, and there's what we call, I don't want to say we chefs because I really don't consider myself a chef, but it's what we call the Maillard reaction, where you get that delicious browning. I'm gonna take a little bit of this pesto, add some more pesto on, because everything is better with more pesto, I think, except for the person who asked, what if you don't like pesto? And here we have the dish for dinner. Should I cut open the salmon? Does anyone want to see what the inside of the salmon looks like?
I'm seeing a few nods.
Okay, let's cut it open. I have a visitor here. Do you want to say hi? Hold on, I don't know what's on this mic. Wait, oh. So it's cooked through. It's cooked through. See, it's perfectly cooked through. It's not overdone. It's still soft, but it's cooked nicely.
Amazing. Somebody is asking if you always cook straight on the sheet pan or if you ever use parchment or aluminum foil for easier cleanup.
So, okay, this is the hot topic with me. I when I'm roasting veggies, yes, sometimes I will put parchment. Hold on, these PJs. Sometimes I will put parchment, but the truth is, I don't like putting parchment. I find it's so much better cooking directly on the sheet pan. I just find it caramelizes better and the flavor is so much more delicious. Now, there was something else I wanted to say. Oh, for cleaning sheet pans, because it's annoying, if you take baking soda, sorry, I actually cut myself a little bit, but that's okay.
Oh,
I just know this. I know I didn't feel anything. I just looked down. I'm like, oh, I'm bleeding, but it's all good. I have a paper towel. So to clean a sheet pan, I will take baking soda and hot water, let it sit, and it works. It just, everything just comes off. If it's like something that's really, really, it's really caked on, if you take a dishwasher pod and hot water, that works well as well.
I love learning all the different tricks.
It's always helpful.
Somebody had asked what you suggest as a substitute for the gnocchi for a gluten-free crowd. And there were some interesting suggestions. Someone said maybe spaghetti squash, maybe there's a gluten-free gnocchi out there.
So I believe there are gluten-free gnocchis. Like the base of gnocchi is often made with potatoes, right? So for sure, I think a gluten-free gnocchi would work if you could find one, or if you want to make one. But the whole point of this is to make easy dinners, so you may not want to make one. Potatoes, though, if you cut up a potato, that you would have to roast in advance, because potatoes take a long time to roast and get caramelized and be delicious. But if you roast your potatoes in advance, then you add your broccoli and your salmon. You've got a delicious gluten-free dinner. And you had said spaghetti squash. So I'm trying to think the best way. I guess what you could do actually, which could be very nice and very delicious, is if you cut your spaghetti squash in half, put some olive oil, salt, and pepper, put them face down on the pan, roast them for, I think spaghetti squash needs about, I think it's about an hour to cook. I haven't cooked it for a while, but if you cook it for, let's say 45 minutes, and then add the salmon and the veggies to the pan, and then you could serve the salmon cut up with veggies inside a spaghetti squash nest.
Ooh, that would look really fancy potentially. So
That would look
you
really
want to,
fancy.
right? Like if you want to impress somebody, like maybe try that.
Mhm.
So we also had one other question about how did you make sure that the thick part of the salmon is cooked and the thin part isn't overcooked?
So that's a very good question. I always just cook my salmon at either 375 or 400 for about 15 to 20 minutes. Like that's, I don't know. I always do that and it doesn't fail me. What I will say is if you see that the thickness, that it's like very varying in thickness, then I would cook it at a slightly lower temperature for a little bit of a longer period of time. So I would opt for the 375 for 20 minutes as opposed to the 400 for 15 minutes.
That makes sense. I think that's it for our questions at the moment.
Okay, so there's still liquid in this pan, but I want to show you guys what's going on with the chicken because, oh, thank you so much. Someone just said this is awesome. So thank you. I'm so glad you're enjoying this. So can you guys see? You guys could see
Yes.
sort of. Hold on. Let me get you a better view. Okay, is this a good view? Hold on. Okay, so here, there's definitely still liquid in the pan, but we could see that the Israeli couscous is starting to absorb the liquid finally. I'm gonna put the lid back on because I want the liquid to not be, I don't want the liquid to evaporate. I want it to go into the Israeli couscous. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you guys what I do here because it's very simple. I'm just waiting for the liquid to fully absorb, and then it's ready to serve. I just take a big spoon of pesto, dollop it on, mix it in, and it gives like such good flavor. So because I don't think we're gonna sit and watch the couscous keep cooking. But I do see an important question. What's the difference between Israeli couscous? But I didn't see the second half of the question.
And the regular kind.
Okay, so Israeli couscous is also known as pearled couscous. I believe that's the term, and it's more of a pasta. They're bigger balls. So hold on, let me take one out. Let me just take out the chunk. I don't know if you could see. Oops. I don't know if you could see here. This isn't fully cooked, and it's much bigger than regular couscous. You able to see that?
Yeah, I mean, they look like they're a little, they're together, but you know,
Yeah.
when they're not cooked, they're definitely like individual little pearl balls.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, well,
Are there any other questions for me?
I think those are all the questions in the chat. And I know you said if we didn't finish it in time, you would post a picture on your Instagram.
I will, absolutely. And the recipe, I mean, you guys have the recipes. I do see, by the way, there's been some links to my blog going up, which is a very, very old inactive blog. I should just say it's really just the Erin Eats on Instagram.
Got it. So we
I
should
just figure I should mention that you're not going to find it. I'll tell you because it's kind of funny. I started the blog when before my kids were born, and I just couldn't keep up. And that's why I got into Instagram, because people kept saying to me, I miss your recipes. I miss your recipes. So it was like just an easier way to share recipes without having to write a whole long thing beforehand. anyhow, so sorry, you were saying something, I
Oh
think.
no, I'm so excited. Like I know, like following your Instagram through the years, the recipes always look delicious, and I know I'm really excited to make these ones tonight. As people have commented in the chat, they are as well. So thank you so much. I'm hope I'll make them soon. I think that my kids will even eat them.
You're lucky.
And I think
I
that
hope you.
no, well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
being
so
here.
much.
And
Thank you.
we recommend that you follow Erin on Instagram. Links are in the chat. We will be sharing the recording and transcript of today's webinar, as well as we will compile her tips and tricks from today and include that as well in our follow-up email. And you will also be able to find it on our website probably next week. We also want to thank Stephanie again for sharing her meaningful story. And I also want to thank our Share It Summit sponsors one more time for their support. So thank you to AstraZeneca, Daiichi Sankyo, Merck, Novartis Oncology, Pfizer, City of Hope, Orange County, ASI, Northwell Health Cancer Institute, and RMA New York Long Island. We also want to thank the cooperative agreement DP 24-0061 from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention for their generous support of this webinar. Please take a moment to fill out our brief evaluation survey that's linked in the chat. Evaluations really do inform our future programming. So thank you so much for just taking a minute to fill it out. Please never forget that our social workers and genetic counselors are here for you and your loved ones. Share It provides emotional support, mental health counseling, and other programs designed to help you navigate through the cancer experience. All are free, completely private, one-on-one. Our phone number is 866-474-2774. You can also email us at clinicalstaff@shareit.org. Finally, we hope to see you at our upcoming webinars. In addition to our Share It Summit Book Club with Rabbi Sharon Brous on November 6th, we have a fall yoga for cancer at 12 p.m. Eastern time on November 4th. Links to both programs are in the chat. Please continue to check out our website regularly to see what topics are coming up. The links for that is in the chat. And you can also access the recordings and transcripts of all of our past webinars on our website. So from all of us at Share It, thanks for joining us today. Please fill out our evaluation, and we hope we will see you soon.